Recording. Okay. All right, everybody. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Jory, for being here with me this evening. We are going to do a quick overview of nursing research and evidence-based practice. So you should be able to see my screen, which is the syllabus. And so you will see my office hours are right there, Mondays and Tuesdays, but feel free to text me, email me. I'm very open on the times that we need to meet. We have to post office hours, but I'm available all the time. And so weekends, if something's going on, just let me know. We can meet. My phone number is there. My email address is there. Text messaging is great. I usually answer right away with text messaging. I've been really trained by my children that I need to answer their text messages within a certain amount of time. So this is the course homepage. You have your description. You have your books needed, which I hope that you have your nursing research book. You should also have your APA manual somewhere handy, or the OWL at Purdue is a good site for APA formatting as well. As you scroll through, you'll see where we talk about the late work assignment, so I don't think this is anything new for you guys. And then, so we have 375 points worth of discussion questions. We have a online certificate that we're asking you to do this week, which is the Protecting Human Research Participants, which is worth 200 points. We have 4 quizzes worth 40 points, and then week 7 we have a major assignment which is worth 385 points. So I really want to hone in on that this evening. So we go back to the top. If we click on announcements, I would just ask that you guys are probably aware of all this, but make sure you check your announcements frequently. This is where we put information for this conference. We welcome you to each week, and then if I have examples, I put examples here in the announcements, but then I'll also download the link to the recording in the announcement section. So that'll be made sometime this evening, and so you'll see a link in your announcements that you can have access to listening to this recording. The other one here is your discussions, which you guys are all aware of. Anything that's pinned means it's active, and so we have the EcoGate Cafe, which introducing me to you guys, and then the questions to instructor is just where I ask you guys to ask your questions, because you're not the only one, and we can all learn from the answers. And then, of course, each discussion that's due. If we click on pages, this is where you can find your orientation link if you wanted to revisit that. This is where you can find your LIRN, and I'm assuming that everybody is comfortable using the LIRN. The password's right here. The reason why I have students use the LIRN is because you can find scholarly journals within there. Websites, they're kind of tough. They're not always scholarly, and we don't want you to lose points because you're documenting or you're referencing a website that isn't scholarly. Not all websites are scholarly. Mainly the ones that end in .org or .edu, those are scholarly, but the other ones really are not. If you're looking through a website and you see where there's advertisements, that is not scholarly, so don't use that. And it's really hard to reference a website. It's so much easier to reference a scholarly journal, which you can find out. I use ProQuest a lot because it cites it for you in APA formatting. So it's really easy to use, really easy. Do you have any trouble with the LIRN, Jory?
Yeah, I have trouble figuring it out at some points. Okay. I mean, I've used it.
Well, let me just show everybody. Let's just do a quick dive through here. So you're going to click on this link, and it's going to ask you to log in. You click the login, and the number is there, 55799. You hit submit. And then the other things, I'll show you some of the things that I do. So it brings up this big page, and then you click on subject view, the tab, and then you hit health and medical. Now I like to use this ProQuest, which is towards the bottom. So I click on that, and it will bring up ProQuest here in a minute. And then this is the search bar. So let's put in oh gosh, what should we put in there? Let's put in research and that's just going to come up with a tremendous amount of responses here. Ooh, 51,000. All right, so let's narrow it down. So some of the things that I do to narrow it down is I go over to the left and I click on peer reviewed. Come on. That probably wasn't the best one to put in. And then you can click on, underneath source type, click on scholarly journals, which has the graduation cap. And that narrows it down even more. And then under publication date, I make mine within the 5-year period. So if you go to update, 2000 to 2019, I'm going to come even closer and I'm going to use like 2014, 15. Update. All right. So now I've lessened it, but not quite a bit. But so you can see here where you have the graduation cap in front of your journal, and you know that you're within that 5-year time frame. So then you start looking and see what you want to use. So let's just click on this first one. Talks about metacognition and education in Turkey. Okay. So here you've got your full text PDF, but now if you look off to your right, you can see where it says cite. You click on that, and there is your APA format for your reference. And so you just copy and paste this into your paper, and then of course know how to cite the two authors appropriately within your discussion. So it takes just a few minutes, but you can really, really narrow it down to where maybe you only have like 100 articles to look through. But if you have, research was a pretty big database. But if you've got like adolescence enuresis or something like, I'm a peds nurse, so if you put that in there, then that even will narrow it down even more. So did that help at all, Jory?
Yeah, that did. I mean, I've been doing a lot of that stuff just by hand and everything.
Okay.
Making sure that there's scholarly and stuff. So I could see where that would cut down some time at least.
It does. It does. All right. So I'm going to get out of here. So that's the LIRN. Okay. And let's go back to your front page. And so your page section just has this is where you can find your college handbook if you ever have a question. This is where, and you guys probably already know where to get your feedback. But for me, you can, what I do when I give feedback within your assignments, so like pretty much the Module 5 assignment and Module 7 assignment, or Module 2 and Module 7 assignment, you'll see where I give you verbal feedback. And so there should be a little play button that you play and then you'll hear my voice. I like to give verbal feedback because it's more of a social presence instead of just because we're always online and we don't ever see each other. And I just want to try to give a personalized view to that. And so listen to my verbal feedback, but then look at your paper at the same time, because I'll talk to you about, okay, let's go to your title page. This is what I'm going to talk about. And then let's go to paragraph 2 when you're talking about this. And excuse me, that way you can follow me. I do like to give verbal feedback. The rest of the page just gives you some information on APA and then Office 365, things like that. So if we actually dive into the module section, you'll see where you have tips on APA, and then we're already done with week 1. So everybody should have introduced themselves in the Eaglegate Cafe. If not, please do so I can welcome you. We're on Module 2, so here are your checklists and objectives. Here's your reading assignment, and then here's your lecture. So click on that and read through your lecture. Make notes, things like that. And then we've got 2 discussions for this week. And then we have an assignment. So you click on the assignment, and I am going to pull down my screen a little bit. So this is worth 200 points. And what we want you to do is we want you to go into this website. So I'll kind of click into this website here. Now I already have, let me see. I've already gone in and started mine, but you have to go in and you have to register, which means you put your email in and you make a password, and then this comes up, and so you can read through your introduction, history, and then each one of these is a quiz that you have to pass, and then your conclusion, and then it lets you download a certificate. So you download your certificate and then you upload it into the assignment area. And then that way, just for doing it, you get 200 points. So I wouldn't wait until Sunday to do this, just in case there's a glitch. It will take a little bit of time. Like I just started mine today. So I'm hoping to get it done either tonight or tomorrow, just so I know, what everybody else is going through. So we'll do that. And then there is a $25 charge if you want to receive credits, but you don't have to receive credits. You don't have to sign up for the credits in order to get your certificate. And then upload a copy of your certificate. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to download it and save it and then upload it like you normally would where your assignment would be. And that's the only thing you have to do for the assignment for this week. Like I said, don't wait till the last minute to do it. Make sure that you start early. And we'll go back to the module section. So any questions with week 2? You have 2 discussion questions and then your online course on protecting human research participants. Okay.
That feels pretty good about that one.
Okay. And then module 3, here we've got our checklist, objectives, reading assignment, your lecture, 2 discussion questions for week 3. Week 4, we have 2 discussion questions, but then we have a quiz as well. So it's a multiple choice quiz. It's open book. You can take the quiz twice, and then the highest score will count towards your overall course grade. And so there's 20 questions, 2 points per question, so a total of 40 points. So you will want to take some time on this. I mean, that's 40 points that if it's open book, you should be able to get, 100%. So make sure you have your book right there. Make sure that you have your time scheduled that you're going to take this. There's that one. Let's go back to modules. And then module 5, we just have 2 discussion questions again. Module 6 or week 6, modules are the same as weeks. We have 2 discussion questions. Now you'll see this end of course survey between weeks 6 and 7. We ask you that you take the end of course survey, but you don't have to take it in between weeks 6 and 7. But if you don't take it between weeks 6 and 7, in order to complete week 8, you'll see here where the prerequisite is the end of course survey. So you will not have access to week 8 material or discussion question until you complete the survey. So you can do it in between weeks 6 and 7, or you can do it between weeks 7 and 8. So any questions with that? Okay.
No, they've been doing that for a little bit.
Yep. Some students weren't aware of the prerequisite because they would try to get in to their week 8 discussions and they wouldn't be able to, and it's just because they hadn't completed the survey. So go ahead and do that. Week 7, we've got checklist, objectives, reading, lecture. We've got 2 discussion questions plus an assignment. Week 7 assignment is worth 385 points. This is major. This is a huge assignment. So I would make sure everybody and look at it now and try to get an idea of what you might want to do. It will take some time. So if we go ahead and we click into module 7 assignment, sorry, that's my phone. All right, so here you have, it's worth 385 points. You've got the course objectives, which is pretty much all of them. what we want you to do is we want you to find, identify a scholarly, evidence-based, peer-reviewed study that you've chosen throughout the course. We want you to focus on it, and we want you to critique it for a nursing research study. And so you want to introduce us to the review, the study, and then why you chose the study. That would be in your introduction. And then we want you to be able to critique it according to the critiquing tool. And so if you click on the link within the assignment tab, if you go here, it's going to bring you here. This is the framework. And so this is all the critiquing that you have to do, A through N, and then 2, and then 3. And so you can print this out, you can save it, so you know exactly what you need to do. And then if you scroll through here, we're asking you to look at a scale. So we're asking you to utilize a scale to say what is the level and quality of the evidence of your research. And so if you click on this link here, it's going to bring you to this page from the ANA. And these examples down here provide tools that you can to help you level your research. And so I use the University of Minnesota Biomedical Library. And so if you click on that, it will bring you up to this page. And then I just clicked on, it'll bring you to the main page, but then click on research guides, and this is what you'll see. And so under evaluating information, if we click on evidence-based practice resources, that's not the one I want, sorry. Oh, levels. Levels of evidence and grades of recommendation right here. It'll bring you down to levels of evidence, and you just need to tell us what is your level of evidence according to this tool. Pretty darn easy. It gives you where they got this information from on the very bottom, but it shows you your levels of evidence and then grades of recommendation. So make sure that you don't forget that when you're doing your table. So let me see, I want to bring some tables up. So this is the actual table that you will use for Module 7 assignment. And it's just a table. There's no, you don't have to provide a paper. We want you to fill out this table. And so introduce us to your scholarly evidence. And then here's the critiquing. And so you get 20 points for each area. So the title, does it accurately describe the article? Your abstract, introduction, purpose, research questions. Do they use a theoretical framework? Look at their lit review. Look at their method. And then look at their analysis, results, discussion, conclusion. And then down here is where you'll see where you're going to utilize that scale to level your research. And then the other 2 questions are decide if the study is applicable to your practice. Can you use the results and recommendations in your practice? And so your future practice, would you be able to use this study within your future practice? We all know that you're not practicing yet, but when you do practice. And then the last thing, discuss ethical considerations. Talk about informed consent, talk about IRB, and just provide a conclusion. And then at the bottom would be your references. Make sure that you cite your references within your table, and then also put them here as you would be on your reference page. So I'm going to pull up an example of one, and I'm hoping you can see this. This is an example of one. I'm hoping you can see it. So here you'd put your student name, and then here is her introduction, and then she chose diabetes, and then the abstract, and here's where she cited her research. introduction, statement of the problem, purpose of the study, the research questions. And we're not asking you to put their research question. If you do, put it in quotes like she has, but then also talk about it. Put it into your own words. And then the theoretical framework, history, lit review, methods. So you can see she was pretty on the methods section was pretty long. You're not going to want one-liners here. You're going to want quite a bit of data because it's worth 385 points. And then your analysis, results, discussion part, limitations. Most of the time, a research study will talk about their limitations towards the end. And then, of course, the conclusion. And then the level and quality of evidence is where you go in and you use your tool. This student used the University of Minnesota, which is the example I showed you. Make sure that you let us know which one you used and how you're leveling that or grading that research. And then discuss any ethical considerations, and then here are their references. Now, you only have to have a minimum of 2. Of course, you're going to probably have more than that. You're going to have your research article, of course. You're also going to have where you looked at your levels of research from. So there's 2. You might want to use your textbook, or if if you're reading your study and you go down and you look at the reference section on your studies, I go in and I try to find another resource within their resources because it's going to be on the same topic of what you're just doing. And so, save yourself some time, but just make sure that the research is within that 5-year mark, current research. And then you're going to upload that into the assignment, and that's it. No paper, just filling in this table, which I think can be done very nicely, but you might want to start looking at a research study right now, just so you can narrow it down. So you don't have to worry about Sunday night when you don't have one, and we're getting emails and text messages saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Can you help guide me?" It's kind of hard on a Sunday night, when we're trying to finish up our weeks as well, and you haven't done this yet. So I would just ask you guys to start early on this. So any questions from the attendees regarding this assignment?
No, I think you explained it pretty well, so I
Okay.
don't have any particular questions.
Okay. I would also add that, less white space is better when you're filling in a table. And so really don't really put one-liners in, because this is worth 385 points. This is worth a lot. And we have to make sure that you're understanding that you really read the research study and you really dove into what it's about and why you chose it. And so really, really, put your heart and soul into filling out this column, especially. This example, there's not a lot of white space in this example at all. And I hope you know what I mean by white spaces. There's a couple lines. You can see where a lot of it was the method section, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions that you have to answer within this one area. So I would hope that would be quite intensive there. Okay. I don't believe. Nope. Well, this was another example. She did innovative instructional strategies for teaching infection control to nursing students. And so she critiqued hers within there kind of the same way, looks the same. So there's a couple examples there.
No, definitely see the example.
Okay. And I can go ahead and send an example out. Sometimes, well, I'll just go ahead and send an example out. Like I said, it's just an example, so don't think that if in grading, if we missed a misspelled word, don't hang us up because of that. But we just want to give you an example of what you can expect and what yours should look like. So I would just ask you to look at that lightly, but just make sure that everything is filled in. I'm going to get out of these ones. So that's pretty much everything that we talked about within the assignment. Here, if you want to, here's a grading rubric. So if you didn't provide an introduction, then you could have anywhere from 0 to 11 points out of 20. So each area is worth 20 points. So that's why fill it in the best that you can, because this whole section is worth 280 points. So you don't want to lose points here. And then, of course, your APA formatting of your references. So when you cite your references within that column, make sure that you know how to do that appropriately. And then make sure that you know how to add your whole reference in 6th edition. I think that was the biggest one. So it looks like we've got one Module 2 assignment here where you go online and you download your certificate. We've got some quizzes coming up, and then Module 7 assignment, which is the table. Now I can say that let me see, my computer is, Module 8 or week 8 is a shortened week, which shouldn't be something new. Everything is due by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. So you still have to be active in the course on 2 different days. You still have to answer the main question, plus you have to go in on a different day and do your 2 peer responses. So everything is still the same. It's just a shortened week. And then usually I try to put my grades in either on Thursday or Friday. I don't let you guys go into the weekends because I don't want you worrying about your grade going into the weekend. You need to relax and, um, you know, relax and not have to worry about your grade. So, I
If
think
we know what that term is at the moment.
yes. Yeah. I mean, you should have a pretty good idea of where you sit after we grade Module 7 assignment. But if you do it well, and you should do quite well. I mean, everything is explicit there. You should have no questions. If you do have questions, please reach out early, so I can answer those appropriately for you. Like I said, you can contact me via email, via text message. I'm really good at responding. If we need to have a one-on-one, like a verbal one-on-one where I can share my screen or just talk on the phone, please feel free. Let's do that. I'm here for your success. I want you to be successful. Other than that, any other questions?
No, and
Okay.
definitely glad that you recommended getting started on it earlier.
Well, the biggest thing is finding a research area. You want to spend some time. Maybe one of the discussion questions that's going to come up in the weeks, you'll find an article and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do for week 7. So I'm going to download it and I'm going to save it on my computer so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. You want to start looking now, because we do have great articles coming up. Or if your colleagues share a study within the discussions, they provide the reference there. Find it, download it, save it, and use it. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Other than that, I can't stress enough about going into your announcements every day and just looking. This is where you'll find the recording of this conference. Course overview, you'll find it sometime this evening or early morning, hopefully this evening, but just depends on how fast it gets turned around. And then the attendance reminder, make sure that you guys are active twice a week. So you need to be active Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, at least once. And then you need to be active at least once on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So we need you to be active twice a week. You need to answer the required discussion questions and then at least 2 of your peer responses. Now I'm pretty active in the discussions, and so I try to go in and ask thought-provoking questions. And if you want to reply to me, that counts as a peer response. Along with one other student. So make sure that you respond to at least 2 of us within the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Other than that, I think that's it. Just please feel free to email me, text me, let me know how you're doing. You'll see where I'll reach out to you if I don't see you active during the participation when I put in the attendance on Mondays and Thursdays. If you haven't been in a couple days, I might reach out and say, hey, how's it going? Let me know. We know that life gets in, life happens and everything. So just reach out and let me know. Any questions from
All right.
any of you guys? Thanks, Jory, so much for being with me on your Monday evening.
So we should be able to get a download of that just right from that assignment page, correct? The questions we're answering.
Oh, the table?
So that we, so we can fill it in Word and everything.
Yep, there's a link. You'll see where it's there's a separate link on the table. So if you go into modules, here, you'll want to download that so you can put it into your Word and start filling it in. But come on. I have like 2% left on my battery on my computer. So right here is the table.
Okay.
Yep, you click on that. You click on the table.
Oh, okay, table for assignment. Okay.
Yep, it'll bring up the assignment table, and then just download it and start filling it in. And as you fill it in, you'll see the table lines move. So don't worry about that there's not enough space. There will be enough space. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And anybody have any questions after listening to this, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. And thank you, Jory, so much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.